Hey everyone, I'm David Berkowitz, host of AI Marketers Guild, and excited for another very interactive edition of AI Insiders. We've got some friends from Dstillery coming in today, Melinda Han Williams and Mark Jung, here to talk about building agents and not just talk, but put things into practice. And so we're gonna learn a lot by doing. Melinda, Mark, welcome.
Thank you, David. Thanks for inviting us. This is my first time joining any event with this group, but I'm happy to see some familiar names and faces here.
Right.
Um, be
And
good.
ju just to kick things off, since you were kind enough to share some really thoughtful poll questions, I'm going to go and end the poll so we can see where things stand, and you can reference that. Let me share the results, and yeah, curious to see what you have for us today.
Cool. This is great. I'm to the two of you who hadn't heard of agentic AI but chose to join anyway. Thank you. I appreciate the leap of faith. But these are great results. And I'm the goal of so I'm here with my colleague Mark Jung. Mark and I, our goal of this session is that by the end of the session, you guys are all going to be able to answer yes to all of these questions. And if you're still not there by the end of the session, you can feel free to reach out and we can help get you there. So let's get started. To start things off, we are if I think I can close this poll out and it
Yeah, just
it
it.
doesn't. You guys can all still see it as much as you want to see it, right? I'm not a Zoom super user. So we are from Dstillery, the AI targeting company. And so what Dstillery does is we have a multimodal AI approach to audience building, which means that our models learn across data modalities to build a coherent understanding of a brand's best customers and their digital behavior, which is informed by web journeys and LLMs and CTV and search terms and more, so that we can work with inputs from across all those data types to build predictive behavioral models that can be activated as user segments, contextual curation, and bidding algorithms. So that's us. To get that out of the way, we use multimodal AI to do targeting. So why am I here to teach you about building an AI agent today? And the reason I want to do this is because I think it's important for more of us in the industry to really have a feeling, an intuitive feel for what AI agents can do. And I think the best way to learn that is really to build one for yourself, and then you really get a feel of it that way. So at Dstillery, our experience is that we built an agent that we call DS1 that gives us one point of interface to all of those capabilities I mentioned, audience discovery and building and activation. And we've seen that save us a ton of time internally. And so now, as we've opened up access to DS1 externally, what we're learning is that agentic AI actually does a lot more than just save time. It also creates a way for companies in our ecosystem to connect in a way that's more deeper and more seamless than ever before. And so that's really what I want to share with you today, the aspect of how agentic AI can strengthen these connections and streamline these connections between companies. And I think you're going to get a feel for that in this hands-on workshop. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to give you a bit of background information on agentic AI, how agentic AI is changing how companies connect. Then we're going to jump into the hands-on workshop part of it. Mark is going to run that part of the workshop, and then we'll switch back to, as a concrete example of kind of where you can take this, a demo of DS1, which is Distillery's agentic AI interface. Before we dig into that, this is super important. Did you get your login email? Did you get an email with login information? So check your email for an email with this subject, your unique login to for today's Build Your Own AI Agent Workshop. This has unique login info that you're going to need in order to do the hands-on part of it. So if you signed up late and didn't get this or just can't find it, DM Mark now, if you can find, and then if you can't like figure out how to do that, then maybe you can put it in the chat. And then Mark will set you up with a login. And so while I'm kind of going through this intro material, you have time to work with Mark to get it settled. So if you're not settled, you're going to be really sad when we're doing it and you can't play too. So Mark will help you. Okay. So I'm going to talk a bit about agentic AI and what it is. Okay, so first, what makes AI agentic? So AI is agentic when it has agency, and you can really kind of think about that as two things. First, it pursues goals autonomously, and it takes actions. And so pursues goals autonomously means that it can plan and decide what steps it needs to take in order to accomplish a goal, and then takes actions. It can action on those plans. It can use tools. It can interact with external systems. It can actually do stuff and pull levers in the real world towards those goals that it's planned towards solving. Okay, so and by the way, is that you guys are working it out in the chat. I don't need to help Mark. He's on it.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys will figure it out. I should stop looking at that. So, so there's a lot of different types of agents out there. You've heard of some types. Most of you, it looks like, have used some types of agents. I think for our purposes for marketing, there's these two types of agents that are useful to think about. One is I think of as knowledge agents. So knowledge agents is something that can autonomously complete informational tasks. So they might have access to customized documents and customized instructions, and the output is some kind of content that the agent creates for you from those resources. Action agents have access to tools that they can use to interact with other systems. So these are agents that complete their goals really by pulling levers in the real world, doing stuff in the real world. And this type of agent is getting increasingly more attention, both in general purpose usage, like you may have heard of ChatGPT has agent mode, and there's Claude Skills, stuff that can book you a ticket or buy you a chair or something. And then also in digital advertising specifically, because these are the agents that can actually do stuff. And so they're obviously sort of useful if what you want to do is stuff. So this is the kind of agent that we're going to make today in the workshop, an agent that has access to tools and can pull levers in the real world. Okay, a bit more. So I'm sure that everyone here has heard that agentic AI saves time by automating tasks. So I'm not going to talk about automation today. I'm going to talk about connection. So what I'm really excited about is how agentic AI streamlines connections between companies. So you all know how crazy the ecosystem is, how many different companies all of us are all working with. And agentic AI can really make those connections tighter, which doesn't just save time, it also leads to a better result. So as an example, I'm going to show three types of connections between an agency and distillery that are all enabled with agentic AI. So in these examples, Dstillery has this cute little AI agent, and then it has AI tools that it can use, in our case, to discover, build, and activate audiences. Okay, so the first way an agent can connect to Dstillery using agentic AI is a human to agent connection. So here, in this example of an agency working with Dstillery, the agency has direct access to a Dstillery agent via a chatbot. So picture like a chatbot in Slack. And the human at that agency can then use that Dstillery chatbot to help them discover, build, and activate audiences. So this is today the most common way that platforms and agencies are using Dstillery's agentic AI. And that's because it's just the quickest way to start. Like it doesn't require any agency tech. We can just kind of give it to people in Slack and they can start using it and figuring out how to work it into their workflows. So in this case, it means that the agency folks can access those Dstillery tools instantly with smart guidance and instant iteration without back and forth emails. And so the value in this is that not only do they get what they need faster, but that it's also easier to iterate. So you can iterate more and have a more customized result. And so this is like the first place where we really saw that, hey, we kind of thought agentic AI was just for automation, but we realized that it has this result that it actually leads to a tighter connection, which leads to faster results and actually better results. Okay, so that's the first way, human to agent. The second way that in this example, an agency can connect to Dstillery's AI tools is called agent to agent. So here, the agency has their own AI agent, and then when it's doing something that needs Dstillery tools, the agency's agent reaches out to Dstillery's agent for help with that part of the task. So maybe the agency agent is building out a media plan, so it reaches out to Dstillery's agent to help discover, build, and activate audiences to fulfill that plan. Okay, the third way for an agency to connect to Dstillery's AI tools with MCP is with MCP. So MCP It's an acronym for Model Context Protocol. If you haven't heard this acronym before, it might sound like something kind of arcane that you should leave to your tech team, but it really is. MCP really is becoming part of the conversation now when we're talking about how to really make use of agentic AI in digital advertising. So a lot of you I've saw on the poll have already heard about MCP and are familiar with it. Now you're going to be hearing about it a lot more. And all this means is in this example, the agency's AI agent connects directly to Distillery's AI tools. So MCP is just the way that we make those tools available to be accessed directly by other agents. That's what MCP is. So this might not sound like a big deal because we have computers talking to computers across companies all the time, right? We have API integrations. But API integrations, if you've ever set one up, it takes weeks or months of developers writing custom code. And with MCP, the agent deals with understanding how to connect. So you can set that connection up in minutes. Okay, I'm going to stop here. David told me that this was a really interactive group. If you want to, I didn't, should have warned you in advance that I was going to give you a chance to ask questions. But if you want to just unmute your mic and jump in or put something in the chat. Um,
I'll just jump in real quick.
yeah,
As I'm sending out
cool.
credentials to folks, I'm sending the link, and then there'll be like an email that looks like AI workshop plus and then a number at distillery.com, and under that will be a password. I just tried one and it looks like it's like grabbing part of the email in the link, but you might just need to like copy it by hand and paste it in, and then the accounts should work. But keep shooting messages.
How many more of those do you have to do, Mark? Are there a lot? You
Uh,
got some of them out?
Looks like some of them aren't working, but there are a few left.
Okay.
Actually, a bunch left.
Okay. I see Lisa Brand raised a hand. Can you unmute yourself? Or
Yeah.
okay.
Hi, sorry if you can't see me well. I'm just looking at it's a little confusing because you're using the word agency.
Yeah, I
as
know.
an
That's kind of
agent.
unfortunate.
So that last cell in your table here, agency's AI agent connects directly to, can you put that in terms of, can you sort of broaden the definition of MCP beyond this particular context of agencies and
Totally.
advertising?
Yes, yes. So what MCP is a way for an agent to connect to tools. And so if you have an agent of some kind, if you have built a custom agent at your company, or your agent could be Claude, like the chatbot Claude can also act as an agent. You plug it into MCP, like some other company can have tools that they want other agents to be able to use. And MCP is just how they make it accessible. So what you're going to see is you just have to give that agent a URL that says, here's where my tools are. Here, it contains everything that you need to figure out what's there and how to use it. And then the agent can then just on its own figure out what tools are available, when to use them, decide when to use them in order to meet its goal, and then it knows exactly how to use them. So it takes care of all of that for you. It's kind of the equivalent is if you went to your developer and handed them an API integration guide and they spent months coding it and then you're done. It's like that same step of like, here's a bunch of stuff you can do, and here's instructions on how to do it.
Okay, and there's no human in the picture?
There's no human in the picture. There may be a human driving that agent, right? So, like in the case where you're using Claude as your agent and connecting to some other company's MCP tools, you're typing into Claude, and then Claude is deciding when to call which tools. It might have access to lots of different MCP connections and deciding which of those to use for each task, like depending on how it's planned its goals.
Okay, so just to give an example, if I connected Claude to GitHub and AWS, that would be MCP?
Yeah, they probably have MCP servers set up, like it probably has MCP tools. They could make their tools available by MCP, and then you could access them that way,
Okay.
and kind of quickly set them up. Yeah, does that make sense?
I think Lisa's striking the kind of the discussion I was just unclear about also. If I summarize what you said, Melinda,
Mm-hmm.
the MCP connection type to a third-party AI tools is still a third-party AI tool set that does different things, maybe even connecting to third parties from there. So it would be like you're saying these are Distillery's AI tools
Yeah.
that do these functions and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's just an agent accessing a toolbox.
It's an agent accessing a toolbox. Yeah. So what you'll see is for Distillery's toolbox, all you need to open that toolbox is this one URL, and then the agent knows when to reach for those tools and what they do and how to use them.
How is it different than an API?
So it's very similar to an API, except that the agent does the integration for you as it's using it. So with an API, it's like a documented list of here's all the things these tools can do and here's exactly how to use them. So all of that is kind of inside the MCP, but rather than hand it to your developers, you hand it to the agent. And so rather you don't have to write custom code to connect to this other company. Your agent just knows, oh, I want to use this tool right now, so I'm going to call it in that way. Does that make sense?
It's kind of like it's reading the API reference material for you.
Yes, that's exactly what it's like.
That raises a whole bunch of questions about security. If I'm
Yes.
using an agent that calls an agent that might call another agent, I've lost the thread.
Yes, I think there's definitely some important security questions in working with MCP in terms of like what can be put into an MCP server. And I think it's important to, access tools that you trust. And then also the MCP servers also will have authentication of like who's able to access them. So there's definitely authentication involved. I see SF has a hand raised.
Hi, I have a questions between agent to agent versus the tool calling. Basically, the MCP is a tool calling.
Mhm.
So for the execution and decisioning, so there are different frameworks when it comes down to agent, and tool calling. So in the common sense of tool calling, the decisions making, the executions are single threaded, it's a linear. But then for agent to agent, that could be either the agent A make the decisions and then agent B like executing and then funnel back to agent A to decide the next step. Or is it agent A handed over to agent B and then agent B continuously like working on top of it? So just want to understand the execution and decisions. Is it a multi-agent decisioning from framework or single linear kind of decision execution?
With agent to agent, I think of it as, when we say agent A and agent B, so those are at, different companies. So your agent reaches out to my agent, and then my agent decides what to do and which tools to use, and then passes it back to the first agent. So not that they're working together, but that the way that they connect is agent A talks to agent B, and agent B figures out which tools to use, rather than agent A opening up the toolbox themselves and deciding which tools to use.
Gotcha. So the delegation kind of like agent to agents are dedicated to agent B, and then just like circle back to agent A.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Cool. Jessica?
Yeah, so just so I'm understanding, AI tools don't include AI agents. They access the back end of what those agents have access to, or maybe you could define sort of the difference between AI tools and AI agents.
Yeah, that's a really good observation. Because it's a little different, right? And I'm saying that the tools themselves aren't so much making decisions or planning. They're not agentic. That's really the distinction I'm trying to make here in this picture. The stuff in the toolbox isn't agentic. It's not planning. It's not making decisions. It's more like there may be a tool in there for audience building, and the agentic component of it is going to decide when to reach for the audience building tool, and then that tool is available to be used by the AI. But yeah, it doesn't need to be like an agentic tool. It doesn't need to have agenticness in the tool itself. It could, but it doesn't have to.
Got it. That makes sense. Thanks.
Cool. It seems like most of them. Mark, how are you doing on logins? Pretty good. You're muted.
I believe I am mostly there. So if I sent you a little 4-line thing, there'll be the link that ends with sign in, and then I'll have provided an email that ends in distillery.com at distillery.com. Use that email when you're trying to log into N8N, and then use the alphanumeric combination under that as the password for
Okay.
it. If anyone doesn't have it, still reach out.
Okay, and I've got one more thing to tell you guys about, and then I'm going to hand it over to Mark. And so, Mark, if you're not done with the login stuff, then I can jump in.
Melinda, could I ask a really quick question?
Of
Sorry,
course.
I'm not seeing the raise hand tool.
No problem.
So do you have one MCP server, wrapper, whatever you want to call it, or do you have multiple MCPs as the as the user?
As the do you mean, do you access multiple? Like if you're accessing the MCP, are you accessing multiple of them? Or
Yeah.
So okay, so from what you're gonna see in the example is Dstillery has made one MCP endpoint that you're gonna build an agent that's gonna access that.
Okay.
And that one endpoint has access to all of the tools that you're going to use. The reason why I'm kind of pausing is because we actually offer multiple endpoints depending on what toolbox we want to hand you. We might hand one company the red toolbox and someone else the blue toolbox, but that it's one entry point that is going to give you access to all the tools in that toolbox.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, one last thing that should be addressed is what about AdCP? I didn't ask in the poll if anyone's heard about AdCP, but has anyone heard about AdCP? Okay, so this is something that needs to be addressed just because it was something that was launched a couple weeks ago as like another new standardization for how to work with agentic AI in ad tech. And it's not a different way to connect with AI tools. It doesn't get a new line on this grid. It's something that works within both agent to agent and MCP. And it's just a standardized formatting for a set of messages that you might want to pass through those connections. So rather than fully letting your agent just manage the interaction with the AI tools in whatever way it wants, this is kind of a standardized message formatting for a certain set of tasks that you might want to complete. And the idea is this organization is trying to set up a way to interact with multiple companies deterministically in the exact same way to do the exact same task. So they've introduced that standardization that's kind of like on top of both either A to A or MCP. But for this example, we're actually doing a use case that's not covered by this protocol. And so what you'll see in the example that Mark is going to walk you through and help you build is you'll be using an agent that will use MCP to connect directly to external tools. And then you'll have a chance to see how easy it is to set up these connections and what that feels like to give an AI access to those things. So Mark, how are you doing? And do I need
working
to
on, I
jump
think, the
in?
last one, and then we will be good.
Cool. It is awesome that we have so much participation, and it is awesome that Mark is able to do so much stuff at the same time.
When you're just kind of related to this conversation, when you're engaging with your clients and MCPs or agent to agent, I'm sure their IT department is like, what are you doing again? How does that go usually?
Yeah, so that's, I think, the reason why our initial engagement with most companies is the human to agent. So we're giving them a Slack bot, really. We're like opening up a Slack workspace that they can go into and talk to this thing. And so that doesn't completely eliminate the IT department's questions, but it narrows them down a lot. And then the ones that are ready to do MCP, those are the ones that are deeper in the weeds with agentic AI. So they're also prepared for that. It's been interesting to see how that develops, actually.
Cool. Yeah, I should be good to take over now. So
Sweet.
I'll do the workshop and N8N. And I think this will help kind of, conceptualize, go hands-on to conceptualize some of the stuff that Melinda was talking about in terms of using tools, thinking about them separately from agents, and then, using one or more to do different things. So I'll jump in, I'll share my screen, we'll start going through it. Jump in if you have any questions. And here we go. I too am a Zoom newbie, so I apologize. Okay, cool. Everyone can see my screen? Perfect. So when you log in, you should either end up on a screen that looks like this, or there might be two squares in the middle that say like create a new workflow or start with a template. What you'll want to do in this session is use create workflow. So it'll either be that one box that says create a new one, or you'll see in the upper right corner where my mouse is a create workflow button. So this is like the main screen of N8N. And N8N is one that we use because it's really good at kind of visualizing what's happening when you're building and talking to an agent. Like it'll show you all the calls that it's making and the back and forth conversations. But like Melinda said, like everyone's starting to come out with these sorts of tools. So within the last few weeks, OpenAI came out with one. Google has one, right? So a lot of what you'll see today, you can kind of take and move over into these other platforms as well, because they all work off similar ideas. Some of the implementation might look different, but they're all doing pretty much the same thing. You might see me move my screen around as I'm trying to show you like what is being done between the agents. Also, just for your own workflows, you can zoom and move around on this screen. So if you like add a node and all of a sudden the zoom goes weird, just know you can like use your fingers on your mouse pad and zoom it. Cool. So, all right. So now we want to get started, right? And obviously the first thing we want to do is give us access to an agent to work with. What we're going to do is just click add first step. This pops up like the full menu of stuff that's available in N8N. You can kind of get lost in there, but we're really focused on the agent side of things. So they make it pretty easily. You can just search for agent. You'll see this little pop up here. It says AI agent.
Wait. On my screen says either start from scratch or test a simple AI agent example. Which one do I pick?
Perfect. Yeah, just click on the start from scratch, and that should bring you into the empty screen.
Oh, okay.
Perfect. So yeah, we'll just click add first step. It should pop up this menu, and then you just type agent, search for agent. And they have this like pre-built template thing that's going to make it super easy for us. So you'll click AI agent. Anytime it goes into one of these, unless I say something, you can just kind of click back to Canvas. It gives you the option for a lot of settings, but you usually don't need to use them because agents kind of do a lot of the stuff for themselves. So you end up with a screen that looks like this. Now you have, your AI agent that's going to, right now it's just like a blank template. It's not going to do anything. It can't do anything because it needs the things, the tools that really make an AI agent what it is, right? And I kind of like to separate this into a few parts. So first, we're going to focus on what I call the brain of the agent, right? Like we need to give the agent the ability to think about things, get knowledge, answer questions. And that's done through everybody's favorite LLM, right? So large language model. So here and right under the robot's head where it says chat model, you can click this. You kind of have your full choice of LLM providers in there. We've set everybody up with an OpenAI API account in theirs. So you can just search OpenAI, it'll pull up this list and you just click chat model. Similar to the other one, you don't need to change anything. It's just going to default to the access that you have and the API that you have. Click back to Canvas. So now you have a screen that looks like this.
Where did you find the language models?
Yep. So you'll see this little plus under the chat model. You'll click that. It'll pop up the left search bar or the right search bar again. You just search OpenAI, and then you click that. And it should bring up the screen that's just saying you're using OpenAI.
And has Dstillery set up, can you maybe let us know what is added in by you guys for the sake of this demo and which, if we're just using N8N, not default?
Yeah. So if you're just using N8N yourself, it doesn't really come with any of that stuff. So like we just, we have a ChatGPT account, OpenAI, so you can just go in there and take one out of your account. But anyone that if you've signed up for any like Anthropic, Claude, ChatGPT, anything like that, you should have access to one in whatever the console is. But for the purpose of this,
just to clarify, is this for this demo only, or will we be having access to this after the fact?
we'll leave the accounts open for a bit, just to kind of continue to play with the tools that we're showing you today or do some other stuff, but it won't be available in perpetuity.
Right.
Cool. Any other questions on it?
In perpetuity is the word of the day.
Is
I
there a
opened
way
my dictionary. It was my word of the day this morning.
I'm curious if there's a way, once we've created this demo, to export this so that when we create our own accounts, we can import into ours, so the work we do today can be saved.
I hope you were setting me up to say it absolutely can. That's the beauty of a lot of these tools. They actually work through JSON. So you'll be able to take this, export the JSON, load it up into your own instance, and just change some of the things. They make it really easy. You can also find a ton of templates online, like NA is one where you can just search for kind of anything. You can find a template, paste it in, and it'll work as well. Perfect. So we have our chat model. It can think now. The other big part of a brain is having memory, right? How do I kind of remember what's happening with these conversations? I went a little bit fast there. I apologize. So there's this memory option here, the little plus in the middle. You'll just click that. We're not going to do anything fancy. We're just going to use the built-in memory that they have. We don't need to do anything here. And memory is super important when you're building an agent, right? Because the beauty of an agent is the ability to converse with it, go back and forth, be like, oh, we were talking about this thing a while back, like, let's go back to that. And the memory is really the thing that enables that to happen. So you always want to make sure your agent has the ability to remember what are working on.
How long does memory last?
So the memory on the base one, you can kind of set the context window length on it. You can add it, shorten it. It defaults to 5. That works pretty well for most of the things that you're going to do in here. So yeah, simple memory is good until you start getting into the more advanced things. But you can do things like vector databases in here and stuff like that if you want to really get fancy. Perfect. So we've given it the brain, right? The next thing we talked about is we want to give an agent the ability to do things beyond just ask it questions and get answers. Right? Because you can do that right now. They've basically built, ChatGPT UI right here. You can say like, hello, you'll see the whole thing moving. You can see exactly what it's reaching out to. It answered you just like ChatGPT would. So you basically just rebuilt ChatGPT in your own little UI there. That's not really what the point of this is, though. We want to show that agency, that ability to work with tools. And that's where we're really going to start separating things and give you the ability to go beyond what you're doing today, right? So the big tool that Melinda was talking about was MCP, Model Context Protocol. And like she was saying, right, that's just a wrapper on top of an API that tells the agent, if you want to do this thing with me, this is how you do it. You don't need to expose that to anyone. You just know that behind the scenes, and you can figure out how to translate back and forth. So to do this, you'll click the plus under tool, and then you'll just use this MCP client tool because it's not a built-in MCP. We're going to use Dstillery's actual MCP that we have available. So to do this, you'll open that MCP client screen. I can just name this Dstillery MCP because, as you start building out your own agent, you'll start getting new tools in there, right? You can have as many tools as you want, and it's on you to kind of keep them organized and then tell the agent which to use when in certain cases. So we have the screen open. This is kind of the hardest part of the whole thing. So you're going to just use a URL here. You're going to type https://mcp.dstillery.com/mcp. I'll leave that up on my screen, and I think Melinda is going to paste that in the chat.
Give it a second. HTTPS.
Yeah, you can look in the chat. I just put it in the chat too, if you want to copy paste.
Perfect. And then the other thing, this is just one of those annoying N8N things. They added a new ability, got rid of the old one, and never got rid of this option. So in order to do this, you want to change this thing to the default that says like you can't even use this anymore to HTTP streamable. If you don't do this, the next part of it's not going to work. So you just want to say like, hey, we're using this basically like an API, and we're going to do it over. So once you have that, you don't need to do anything else. You can just go back to Canvas. And you built a full agent. Pardon?
It automatically saves your changes.
I always am a fan of saving just to be sure. So you can always go up here, click save.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a setting that you can go in and turn on. There's a lot of non-defaulted things that you'll see in there, but yeah, you can turn on autosave or just be like me and kind of hit save. So yeah, now we have kind of the full suite of what an agent becomes. There's still some more stuff that we want to do with it. But all right, so now, we typed hi, we talked to the chat model. Now we want to actually have it use that MCP and say, do this API connection to Dstillery and work with their tools. I'm not going to tell you much about it in terms of me to the agent, because its job is to just through that URL know exactly how to use the tool, which API to use when, etc. So I can say, help me search for audiences related to artificial intelligence. Did I actually type? I can never type when I'm demoing something live. So I told it, I want you to do that. It says I'm doing all this thinking. You can see it actually knew just because the MCP gave it its instructions. It knew when I said I want to search for audiences or find audiences, like, oh, the Dstillery tool can do that because it told me it can do that. So I know when I need to search for audiences for my user, I can reach out to Dstillery and say, like, here's what I'm looking for. Please return back some audiences with that. So I just asked it for things about artificial intelligence. You can ask it for anything you want, really, like any sort of, it's built around our idea of just being able to paste a brief, like an audience brief into it and get a bunch of audiences back from that. But it'll go through and it uses a semantic search. So it says, like, we're going to understand what it means to be part of an intelligent artificial intelligence audience, and it's going to find a bunch of audiences around that. There's a bunch of other cool stuff that you can do that I'm not going to give away because Melinda's going to show it. But just actually, Melinda, you want me to just do this part, or we're kind of out of time?
The Gmail part or the
Yeah.
You can do it. You can throw
Yeah,
that in.
I'll demo it real quick. So like the other great part is you want these things to be assistants, right? So what's the easiest thing? I don't want to have to copy and paste anything ever, so you can just pull up a Gmail MCP type node. You can say, I want to send it to stuff. You click these buttons and N8N, and it just says, let the agent figure out all that stuff for me, right? So who am I sending this to? What's the subject? What's the message? So you can set up a Gmail node like this, and you can say, like, all right, I've just added another tool. I need to do something. I like these audiences. I want to send them over to the person who's actually going to be activating the campaign. So you can say, like, can you send the full pass for these audiences to Mark at and you can replace it with your own. And you can just hit enter. It's going to look, say, what am I supposed to do with your request? You can see all the thinking and the actions that it's doing. I imagine because it's the last demo, it's not going to do the thing. Oh, you can see it moving around. I was saying I got to get the full pass. That's the actual activation path to use it in the DSP. So I was saying I had a bunch of audiences. Now I need to go, how do I activate this in the given platform? So it's reaching out to Distillery's MCP again and saying, give me that additional information. Now it's putting it together into like an email format. And you'll see once it thinks through all that, it's hitting Gmail. And if I went to my inbox now, I would see that list and also like the full activation paths that I could just, my trafficker could just put into the DSP, right? So this is how we're thinking about, creating these tools where you can just do a couple of questions at it and send everything around and start having this ecosystem that's a little bit quicker and a little more connected. Cool. So that is the demo. Feel free to reach out after if you have any questions, and I'll pass it back to Melinda.
Hi. I was just putting in the chat. I see that some of you didn't get through all the steps. We're going to send out super detailed instructions on each step also so that you can go through it afterwards and try and get there. And if you're still having trouble, feel free to reach out. We are happy to help.
I understand how you were searching for audiences, right? So, and I understand how we built it. And this is kind of like, now you're saying someone can a client could directly, I think what I'm missing is just a practical example of like how this is being used.
Perfect.
So it looks like the big picture, and then this is how you build it. Like I'm missing the big picture here.
Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna now give you the demo of like the full agent that we have built that we use internally. Well, we have external clients using it as well. So that should be more concrete in that way. The other answer to that question is the point of that exercise was to see how you can create an agent and customize it, ask it different questions, and then get back different answers. And so the point of adding in the Gmail tool also was to see that you can go all the way from something that where you can make a custom request according to your workflow for what you're looking for, and then have it email you whatever output you're looking for so that you can like make it easier to activate. So that's kind of a baby example of a way you could use this. And then this thing that I'm going to demo is more like something that we actually have real clients using in real life.
Okay, thank you.
Derek, do you have a question?
Yeah, hi, sorry, just a quick question. I tried to ask it to send an email, but it told me the agent was unable to send email.
Yeah. I'll send the detailed instructions and we can try afterwards. And then I'm gonna switch to the demo for now. And then if there's time, we can come back to the build your own part of it.
Thank you, Melinda.
Okay, so this what I'm gonna demo here is it's DS1, it's our agentic interface to our audience discovery, building, and activation capabilities. And so we talked about those 3 different ways to connect to agentic AI systems. This is that first one. This is the human to agent. So in this demo, I'm the human, DS1 is the agent, and it's going to access Dstillery's audience building tools. And so in this case, I'm using a Slack interface to the agent, and this is the most common ways that our partners and clients are using it right now. So to start with, I can just ask it, what can you do? Which is kind of like a nice thing about this is that it documents itself. We've made this available. Okay, here's what it can do. I have to scroll down so you can see it. So this is a demo version of it that has a set amount of capabilities. It can search for audiences. It can do some types of custom audience building. And so I'm going to show you a couple of things. I'm going to show you that an audience discovery use case, one for custom audience building, and one for audience activation. And so you already saw a audience discovery that was just kind of based on language. And so this is one that's based on first-party data. And I'm going to say, please help me find audiences that will perform for large clothing retailer. So large clothing retailer is kind of like my dummy name for this demo marketer. You would put in your actual brand if you were using it, and we were connected to your first-party data. And so what this tool is doing is it's taking this brand's first-party data and it's using that to access a simulation that's been run across our catalog of 20,000 audiences that predicts the performance lift of each audience compared to a randomly targeted baseline. And so with this tool, without running any media, you can see which audiences are predicted to perform for this brand. And so here's our results. So it says, okay, I found these audiences. It showed them to me in different groups. It has first-party audiences. So this is basically a retargeting audience of people who have visited the site. Then it has a set of custom audiences. The first ones are Dstillery custom AI audiences that we used with that multimodal AI targeting I described based on the first-party data. We then modeled off of that and made these audiences that are high performance. And then there's other custom audiences we made based on behaviors that the brand knew was valuable to their brand. And then it has, it's calling it here third-party data. This is like pre-built behavioral audiences that are from Dstillery's catalog of targeting audiences. So one thing, so I have these, say I want to add some more of these pre-built audiences, but I want to understand them better. So I can say, please find some thematic groups of third-party audiences. Keep it to around 5 per group. Include the lift, show highest lift groups first. So this is one of the great things about putting this performance data like this behind an agentic AI interface is that now you can talk to your data. So there's all these behavioral audiences here that it's already found for me that are predicted to have high lift for this brand. But maybe I want to know, like, what's the story? How can I use that story to make my activation smarter? And so here it's found for me. Okay, here's some groups. Within these groups, you have some luxury high-end fashion. It knows which of these brands are more high-end, and then it has general fashion, and then there's also competitive brands, and there's some different options that I can do. So this has been a really powerful tool of how this is an example of how agentic AI tightens those connections between companies. Making this tool accessible through DS1 has changed how it fits into our partners and clients' workflows. So we have clients that are really leaned into first-party data, have been using our custom AI audiences for years, and now they can put this directly into our workflow to make more use of their first-party data to find high-performing, pre-built audiences that they can then activate and increase their performance. Okay, I'm going a little fast, but I want to show you another use case. This is a way that DS1 can be used to build custom audiences. And so this is like maybe you don't have first-party data that perfectly captures what you're trying to do. I can say, help me find purchase intent seeds for vitamins. So now what this is going to do is it is searching product page URLs on retail sites that we've seen in our panel data that we use to study digital behavior. And it's going to find the ones that best fit the request for what I'm asking for, purchase seeds for vitamins. After I pick the product page URLs that fit what I'm looking for, it's going to use those URLs to seed a multimodal AI model so that we can then target user segments and inventory to reach the people who are most likely to be interested in those products based on the behavioral data. So here it found some cool vitamin products, and it's going to tell me at the end, like, here's the brands I found, here's the retailers I found. Maybe I'll look at this and I realize this isn't what I want. What I actually want is please narrow it to women's vitamins. So this is something I really like about this approach, is that you can like iterate kind of instantly and endlessly. You're trying to create a custom audience. You can get really super customized because of the fact that you can, as many times as you want, say, I want a little more of this, a little less of that, and really narrow it down to exactly the behaviors you're looking for before you then model it out. And then I can say, great, please build an audience using the top 3 seeds. And I think something worth noting here is that this AI agent isn't building the audience itself, so it's going to kick off this model building. In this case, this agentic AI is really just an interface and an interaction layer. So the final step here is to kick off this audience building process. But it's not like a case of generative AI just like thinking about what it should target and then targeting it for me. I don't want that. I don't want it's just kind of like made up stuff. I want an audience that's using the predictive AI and the multimodal AI that's like based on their behavior data. So what we have here is an agent that is like pulling levers in the real world, accessing these tools, but like doing it for me in a smart way that meets what I need, and it's like allowing me to access those tools better. So that's like really what I think is so powerful about using agentic AI in this way as a way to take these actions.
Hey, Melinda.
Yes.
So I'm always looking for the human side of these tools. And am I correct in thinking that, if I was a junior media planner, I still need to understand Boolean logic, how to think about writing audiences, what I want, so that it gives me the best answer, right? Garbage in, garbage out. Is that fair?
So our goal is to make it hard to put garbage in. So because you're not just asking the agentic AI itself to run wild and think of what would work, you're asking it to access these tools that Dstillery has built, and those tools are designed to like choose particular types of seeds and then build particular types of models from them. Our goal is to limit how much it's possible to put garbage in, and then also to guide you towards what you're putting in. So in that example that I just showed, maybe I can go back to it. You don't see what you're putting into it are the seeds, the like product URLs where you're saying, yes, these are the URLs that will fit best for my product. But it's kind of guiding you through the process and helping you giving you a chance to look at what's going on and telling you, this is what I'm seeing. Is this what you want?
Yeah.
I think it's a really, sorry, go ahead, Amy.
I did my example is, cat owners and variety seekers.
Yeah.
And I thought it would give me back audiences that are anded in Boolean.
Oh,
And it didn't. It gave me cat care and it didn't get it separated, right? It
Right.
gave me an audience of experience seekers.
Yes.
And that's not what I want.
Yes. So I mean, so you do have to still, I think it's true. Even in this, your junior planners still do have to kind of understand what the products are. In this case, it's what that tool is doing is it's accessing a pre-existing catalog, and that tool is not making new Booleans. I think in future versions, if we see that that's like a common use case, it might notice that you're asking for and saying, hey, do you want me to take these two audiences and Boolean them together? Like this is the scale you're going to get if you do that. Is this what you want? That could be a direction it goes. But at this stage, it is accessing like a tool that exists right now, and it actually doesn't have the ability to run wild and decide to do new things that we haven't given it. And that's kind of honestly by design because we want to rein it in and kind of limit the range of possibilities.
Interesting. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna end it there in terms of my examples. I'm not going to show you my activation example in the last 2 minutes, but I think what I wanted you to see from those live examples is that these are AI agents that can use tools and pull levers in the real world to accomplish their goals. And in this example, you can see how that agentic AI layer, it is just an interface to a whole set of more powerful tools, and it helps the user use those tools. And then it also leads to connections that are not just faster, but better and lead to better results in that way.
I'm amazed we could actually get to all three parts as you said we would. This is we're covering a lot of ground today, and I'm glad we can have a great turnout to get this super interactive session. I mean, I think it's the kind of thing that people are clearly hungry for and want to do way more of here with Guild. Yeah, for Melinda, Mark, like I'd imagine we're gonna get some questions that come up after the fact. Is there a good way to stay in touch with you? And
Yes. You can, I think the easiest way is you feel free to email me directly, Melinda@Dstillery. Let me see if I can find the chat and I'll put it in there. And I'll share that. I'll also give you Mark's too.
Yeah, and any materials you want to share after the fact, yeah, happy to go and make
Yes,
sure everyone who RSVP'd will get it directly beyond getting it in the Slack and some of our other channels.
totally. And I'm happy to share the deck as well. And thank you so much, David. You said that this group would be involved and interactive, and the group did not disappoint. So thank you all for being so involved and
No, they never
interested.
do. They never disappoint in that sense. So yeah. But yeah, thanks everyone. Yeah, we'll make sure got the chat there, and Jim, thanks for sharing our LinkedIn. So yeah, I'm sure this is just going to be the start of conversations to come as folks in here have ideas for topics you want to learn more about. Make sure to let me know, and if you know other just great educators like Melinda and Mark, then all the better. But also for Melinda, Mark, yeah, you want to come back sometime and do another version of this, we're more than happy to have you. So appreciate being part of the community too.
Great. Thank you so much, David, and everyone.
Thanks so much, everyone, for joining.